Hello all, the topic for the today's video will be the multifidus muscle. In this video, we're going to cover about the anatomy, physiology, biomechanics and the treatment for the multifidus. Now, moving on to the anatomy of the multifidus, it includes in the transversus spinalis group of erector spinae, which extends the spine as well as stabilizes the trunk during the flexion. Multifidus spans over the whole spine but is absent over the atlantoaxial and the atlanto-occipital joint. Talking about the origin, insertion and the action of multifidus. It originates from the aponeurosis and the medial posterior superior iliac spine, the lateral part of the sacrum in case of sacral region, but in case of lumbar region, it originates from the mammillary process. The mammillary process is present over the superior articular facets of all the lumbar vertebrae. It is absent in other vertebrae. In thoracic vertebrae, the multifidus originates from all the transverse processes. And lastly, in the cervical region, it originates from the articular processes of lower four cervical spine, that is from C3 to C7. Talking about the insertion, it inserts in the form of three fibers, the superficial, middle and deep. The superficial fibers insert onto the 3 to 4 vertebrae above the originating vertebra. The middle fibers insert above 1 to 2 vertebrae of the originating vertebra. The deep fibers insert near to the or onto the adjacent vertebra. Talking about the actions, the multifidus helps in the stabilization of the spine. The bilateral backward extension is caused by the superficial fibers due to the large moment arm as compared to both the other fibers, and it also helps in the contralateral rotation along with the abdominals just to control the spine. नाउ टॉकिंग अबाउट द फिजियोलॉजी, हम बात करेंगे कि मल्टीफिडस हमारी स्पाइन को स्टेबलाइज कैसे करता है ड्यूरिंग फ्लेक्शन, क्योंकि जितना अभी तक हमें पता है अगर कोई भी मसल का लेंथ बढ़ता है तो उसमें टेंशन हमेशा डिक्रीज होना चाहिए, बट मल्टीफिडस वर्क्स ऑन द ऑपोजिट फॉर्म. तो अगर हम लेंथ टेंशन रिलेशनशिप की बात करें एंड ग्राफ प्लॉट करें तो ऑन द एक्स एक्सिस वील प्लॉट द सार्कोमेर लेंथ एंड ऑन वाई एक्सिस वील प्लॉट द मसल टेंशन. नॉर्मल सार्कोमेर की लेंथ इज 1.5 micrometers to 3.5 micrometers. Plotting it on graph, here is 1.5 to this can be the maximum length of the sarcomere till which actin and myosin filaments remain in contact, and muscle tension here will be 100% of its value, of its minimum value. Now plotting the graph, the length tension relationship graph shows like this. Now this area shows an exponential increase in tension with relationship to the length, and here the sarcomere length differentiates as this. Here the sarcomere lying in this area will have a length like this, and in case of this area the actin and myosin will be very far from each other. It means they will be in very less contact from each other as compared to the other areas. Now talking about multifidus, it lies in this area of the length tension relationship, which means there is a gradual slight increase in the tension as the length increases. To understand the length tension relationship further, I'll talk about wrist flexion. If we talk about wrist flexors, they lie here in this graph, and about the extensors lie here in this graph. So during wrist flexion, the flexor length will decrease, which will cause an increase in tension according to this graph, and extensor length will And in case of extensors, as the length is increasing in wrist flexion, the tension is also increasing, which means here both the value of the tension is increasing. And if we talk about the elastic moduli, now what is elastic moduli? Elastic moduli is a property of any muscle or any substance to resist the change in its length. The elastic moduli of both the wrist flexors and extensors is equal. So during wrist flexion, the wrist flexors will contract and wrist extensors will lengthen, and the tension in both the muscle is increasing, which means they both are resisting themselves equally against the forces, and hence the wrist flexion is held very smoothly. Now again, moving on to the multifidus muscle. The multifidus is a muscle which is very deeply located in the spine. अब अगर इसका ग्राफ इधर लाई करता है, इट मीन्स अगर मेरी स्पाइन फ्लेक्शन में जा रही है तो मेरी मल्टीफिडस की लेंथ इंक्रीज होगी, क्योंकि ये पोस्टीरियरली लाई करता है. अब अगर इसकी लेंथ इंक्रीज हो रही है तो अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस ग्राफ द टेंशन इज इंक्रीजिंग, एंड नॉर्मल रेस्टिंग लेंथ ऑफ मल्टीफिडस जो होती है अकॉर्डिंग टू द स्टडीज वाज फाउंड टू बी approximately equal to 2.39 plus minus 0.06, which means the standard deviation of 0.06 was observed, and it is shown in further video. And if we talk about increase in tension in multifidus, it will resist the further flexion. Now if the further flexion is resisted, our spine will have a less chances of backward translation or any injury due to the flexion. So we can observe that multifidus play a major role as a stabilizer just due to the property that it lies in this area of the length tension relationship. Here is the article which demonstrates the unique design of the multifidus muscle for the lumbar spine stability. The main purpose of this study was to examine the sarcomere length of the multifidus and its operating range. They assumed that the multifidus muscle works from a very large deviation of the resting and the maximum tension length. The lumbar spine of 8 cadaveric specimens were isolated and they were measured with a spine in flexion and extension. The results noted were average muscle mass was 146 grams with a standard deviation of 8.7 grams, and the sarcomere length was 2.2 with the average standard deviation of 0.06 micrometers. The normal fiber length was 5.6 centimeters with a standard deviation, and the cross-sectional area was 23.9 centimeter square with a standard deviation of 3 centimeter square, which is a very large value as compared to the other lumbar spine muscles. The conclusion was the high cross-sectional area and a low fiber length to muscle length ratio, which means that the sarcomere length was very small as compared to muscle length, and hence it will attain a greater tension at a very less change in the length, and hence contributing to the stabilization as smoothly as possible. In this biomechanics section, I'll be talking about the fiber orientation and how the force are acting on the multifidus and how it further stabilizes all the actions, and lastly about the pathology in which the multifidus is affected. Firstly, I'll like to talk about two factual points. Firstly, according to the studies, it is shown that the multifidus is also a part of a core, which we all know, and the core is continuously engaged in any kind of activity. So the multifidus works along with the transverse abdominis muscle. If we talk about the glenohumeral flexion, will always exert a certain kind of reactive force along the direction which is horizontal and in continuous with the multifidus muscle contraction. Like this is the spine transverse process, this is the multifidus fiber, and this will be the direction of its contraction. So if the shoulder flexion is taking place, the head of humerus is always exerting a certain kind of reactive force on the glenoid fossa. This reactive force will further help the multifidus muscle to contract in its direction. This shows that multifidus muscle is continuously engaged in contraction during any kind of movement, whether it be GH flexion or there is same in case of hip flexion too. Now I'll talk about the second study. It shows that during the shoulder isometrics, the multifidus muscle had a EMG activity recorded. How? Just because as we all know, during any kind of shoulder activity or before the deltoid contracts, there is a certain kind of activation of the multifidus muscle, or the transverse abdominis muscle. The transverse abdominis muscle lies in the flexor compartment of the spine. If this muscle gets activated, it will cause the spine to flex, and so the multifidus muscle also contracts from the extension compartment to stabilize the spine against the increased flexion. Now I would like to add one more point, that taking any section of the spine, if we talk about the spinous process alignment, this is the spinous process of the vertebrae and this is the long axis of the spinous process. For example, in this case the long axis will be this, which is exactly perpendicular to the spinous process. Now the multifidus fiber orientation is perpendicular to the vertical axis of the spinous process. This is extracted from the cadaveric studies according to the studies. This orientation of the multifidus fiber helps the multifidus to generate the large amount of torque in less forces, and hence the multifidus muscle is kept in continuous contraction in case of slight increase in tension in the spine, and this results in continuous contraction. This continuous contraction results in increased spasm in multifidus, which can be the leading cause of the low back pain. Now I'll be talking about various pathology of the multifidus muscle. How the multifidus muscle comes into the spasm. The main cause of the spasm is the continuous engaging of the multifidus muscle into the tension and the stability. As I've explained earlier, that the fiber orientation of the multifidus was perpendicular to the vertical line of the spinous process. The multifidus muscle continuously exerts a force and hence remains in contraction. So after a particular time, when the loading on the spine increases, the multifidus muscle comes into the spasm, and this spasm can be a major cause of increased lordosis, as in case of cervical or the lumbar spine. And this can be treated using the myofascial release of the multifidus muscle. Usually the multifidus muscle is a very deep muscle. The MFR won't show much of effect, but the technique for the myofascial release is the person lie on his or her back like in crook line, but the knees and hips are perpendicularly flexed to each other, and the foot is supported onto the wall, and a golf ball is kept over the spinous process, and the person tries to roll over this ball until and unless he feels a relaxing or a decrease in symptoms of the spasm. Secondly, moving on to the low back pain. How the multifidus weakness can cause the low back pain. Multifidus weakness can occur due to the spasm or any kind of injury to the multifidus. So, the multifidus is a deep muscle which continuously stabilizes the spine. If in case the multifidus gets weak or atrophied due to the reasons, the superficial muscles of spine like serratus posterior, traps, the latissimus, and the other muscles lying over the lumbar or lumbar region like quadratus lumborum get activated, and they try to maintain the spine and prevent the spine from increased flexion. So in this case, these muscle tends to come into the spasm as they have a different fiber composition as compared to the multifidus, which do not allow them to continuously contract for a longer period of time as compared to the multifidus. So the spasm increase in this muscle and hence causes the low back pain. The treatment for the low back pain in this case can be increasing the multifidus strength, which includes the core stabilization exercises like the pelvic bridging, which increases the multifidus, or the isometric contractions of the back or the perineal muscles. Perineal muscle contraction is a major technique which can also focus on the multifidus muscle strengthening along with the glutes strengthening. Moving on to the disc herniation, I would like to bring to the note that multifidus muscle is always attached to the posterior synovial fold, and the posterior synovial fold is meant to prevent the disc from the prolapse. If in case the posterior synovial fold gets weakened, the multifidus muscle needs to work to prevent the disc from the prolapse, and in this case the multifidus muscle gets atrophied and hence the disc gets prolapsed posteriorly. This causes disc herniation and increase in symptoms like radiating pain over the lower limb. Now moving on to the scoliosis, I would like to bring to note that multifidus muscle is not a leading cause of the scoliosis, but according to the studies, it is shown that the multifidus muscle activity gets increased onto the concave side of the scoliosis. For example, if there is a scoliosis in the T79 region, this side of the spine, multifidus of this side of the spine gets contracted. As we all know, the multifidus muscle helps in the lateral flexion of the spine. So if this is the concavity, we can observe that the spine is laterally flexed in this direction, and hence the EMG activity of the multifidus is increased. So this is of significance that during the scoliosis treatment, the physiotherapist can also include the multifidus muscle stretch or release of the concave side and the strengthening of the multifidus of the convex side to treat a scoliosis to a certain extent.